Hey, it's me, Jimmy D, and welcome to this week's episode review of The Flash, episode 17. And the episode kicks off with a bang, honestly, with Barry trying to figure out the Speed Force, them referencing Reverse Flash, creating his own. Like, why is it so hard? He made his own without any help, and we have Nora's journal, so why is it this hard? You have Cecile worried about Barry and Iris. And ultimately, she goes and sees Iris after a disappointing conversation with Barry. And she senses something. But this is our first little foreshadow of the mirror Iris kind of developing a will and everything. Which I like that little taste of character development with the mirrored Iris. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but at the end of the episode, it's kind of like, oh, well, okay. It pays off a little bit better, but I felt like that part could have been done a little bit better. So Cecile then goes back to her house, to Joe's house, and she can't get in the door. And to find out, Barry is at their house doing all this type of CSI work, um, trying to figure out who this Iris is because he knows it's not his wife. I mean, it was Barry going full detective mode, and I really loved it. Um, Him being the CSI and having those type elements to the twist of the stories back in like season 1 and 2, I really enjoyed those elements, and I was glad to see it back here. So he finds Camilla's picture of the mirrored Iris, where it's all her filter is all broken up and everything. So they confront her. They get the Iris into Star Labs and confront her with Nash Wells there and everything. So they have this device that when they shine it on it, it should show her true self, which doesn't work. And Barry, then that Iris turns it on Barry, and you're like, what the hell? Why is how did this happen? Ultimately, Barry set it on a reflected tray, so Ava could grab it and replace it with a different one that will then show if they're not from the mirrored dimension, which was phenomenal. I love that little twist. That really built suspense that we don't get a lot of in these episodes lately. So you have Barry being stuck in the little jail cell they have at Star Labs, and but Cecile really knows it's not. It's Barry. Like, Iris is the issue. Which was a great. I do love how that Iris turned on Barry and flipped it. That was a good plan. But ultimately, the mirrored kind of clones of the Chief and Camilla and Iris go to see Bloodwork, and Bloodwork instantly knows that this Iris is developing a will, and he wants to play the long game. So he gives her a little bit of the blood, gets back in his cell, and they leave. So Barry goes and finds mirrored Iris back at their apartment, and this was probably the best like collection of scenes I've seen in the Flash in a long time. This mirrored, no pun intended, the it's not as epic as the Flash Gordon scene in the first episode of the premiere this season, but this was really cool to watch, and I really enjoyed it. You have basically a sort of like a Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse dealing with like mirrored chrome like blades on her arms, fighting Barry, and Barry's getting stabbed. And what I really loved about this fight scene is that she used the mirrors to stab Barry in different places, which was really cool and really interesting. And she's like, check your surroundings, and Ava breaks a mirror above him and comes down, and she's able to put her chrome blades, whatever, through the mirrors as they're falling and keep stabbing Barry in multiple places. And that, honestly, that was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed that whole sequence. But ultimately, Ava gets out, and Barry's so weak and all that, she's like, "You're not even a threat." So she leaves. Barry, there's this touching moment at the end of the episode where Barry and Iris, it's kind of like a Doctor Who Rose in 10 at the end of season 2, where they're opposite walls in the different dimensions. They really copied it, but like, I'll give it a slide. They're kind of like, "Oh, I'm gonna save you." Iris is like, "I know you're gonna come after me," and everything. And it was touching. I'm not really a huge fan of Iris, because I feel like she's really been annoying a lot in the Flash, especially after she became part of Team Flash. But she hasn't been as annoying, and this was good. Um, Overall, I really did enjoy the episode. I felt like it was a pretty well done and well written episode. Barry basically not having much speed left definitely makes me wonder how next week is gonna uh, turn out, because he's fighting Godspeed, which I'm really hyped for, and I can't wait to see that. But of course, this is not just my opinion. I want to know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. And I do podcast weekly on Fridays over on Twitch. We also stream daily on there, so if you want to come join the conversation, link to that is in the description below. And like always, I will see you in the next one. Later.